Okay, everybody, welcome back. It's the 2018 Supreme Masters, event 3 of the inaugural Supreme Pool Series. We're here at the Players Pool and Snooker Lounge, just outside Stoke-on-Trent. So we're going to be continuing action here on day 2. We'll continue with the losers section of the draw. We're going to bring you a match between Declan Brennan of Northern Ireland and England's Brian Halcrow. Just as the previous match that you might have seen on stream, like I said, this is the losers section, so it's first to 8. And this is the second round of the losers section. You can just see that Viv Roscoe, the head referee for the weekend, just explained to the players about the time restraints and what happened with extensions and things like that. So it looks as if Declan's just shaded the lag. Say we're this is the main arena, but there are 15 other tables in an arena adjacent to us next door in action. Like I say, at the minute it's the losers section, so we won't be touching the winners side until I think about 4 o'clock this afternoon is the next set of matches for that. We will keep you up to date with the scores all around the arena. If you want to have a look yourself, you could head over to Q Score. Find the event and you can see all the latest results and what the scores are. It's black ball rules, so it's the first event of the season that's sort of employing the black ball rule set. Should be an interesting match. This it's a bit of an age difference between the players, so a bit of a case of youth v experience, but two very sort of accomplished players. We know about sort of. Declan Brennan, we know he's just come off the back of a Money Mac victory last week, and yesterday he was within 1 ball of knocking out Tom Cousins, so that's the reason why he's on the losers section. So we know what a good player is, and we know about sort of Brian Halcrow, about what he brings to the table. He's a very experienced campaigner, very successful. So Declan's found a few balls off the break, but unfortunately he's also found the cue ball, so straight away he passes the table up to Brian. We're live on the Players Pool Events page on Facebook, so if you haven't, if you're not part of that page, why not go over to Facebook and give us a like on that. Also, while you're there, if you're not already a fan of the Beard Productions page, if you give us a like on that, we'd really appreciate it. The Beard Productions YouTube channel is streaming 4 tables all at the same time, so obviously we've got this main table and 3 other tables in the bigger arena. So if you want to sort of like dip in and out of certain games, head over to the YouTube channel. We're also streaming on Twitter as well, so there is several different ways you can access our stream throughout the entire weekend. We're going to be streaming all the way up until the final tomorrow evening. We're hoping that the final will start about 7 o'clock tomorrow, but we've got a lot of action going on before we reach anywhere near there. So anyway, so I've been blabbing on. Brian had the free hit, and he is red, so he has got a degree of control in this frame with the red over the pocket, but as we know with these black ball rules, that can change very quickly. If you do have any questions or want to have your 2 cents worth of anything, why don't you head over to one of the chat boxes on the platforms that we're streaming from, and you can ask us questions, and we'll be happy to answer. I'm sorry, I had a bit of a brain freeze. Of course, the free hit wasn't paying attention. Obviously, it was free table, so Declan is now obviously taking reds, and he's looking good to take the opening frame. Just sounds like my score report must do better. Yeah, I was watching quite a bit of Declan yesterday against Tom Cousins, and I'm sure Declan would have been bitterly disappointed not to have beaten Tom, who's obviously one of the biggest names in our sport. But it looks like he's got a good attitude. He held himself last week in a money match elsewhere, and he's obviously travelled over here to play in these competitions and events. So he must be very confident of his own sort of natural ability and play. So it's great to see that commitment. So he takes the first frame against Brian Halcrow. Long way to go though, first to 8. We'll just have a quick look at the scores elsewhere around the arena. We've still got one remaining match from the losers, round 1, going on, and it's Josh Corkett v Bash Maksud. Josh Corkett is 7-6 up, so he's on the hill. The winner of that will go through straight into the next round. We'll be playing pretty much straight away in the next session. Seb Webb is 2-all against Rich Wharton. Yannick Beaufils of France has made a strong start against Zach Cooper. He's 4-0 up. Cole Bedford, I was just watching this match a few minutes ago. Cole Bedford is now 6-5 up on Stefan Rizidi. Darryl Whitworth, who was the conqueror of Phil Harrison yesterday, subsequently he lost to Darren Vicker, so he was pushed onto the losers section, but he's 3-2 up on Oli Bale. Here we go. We can see all the score lines here. Obviously, Christy Caulfield and Gavin Robinson only just started, so they're 0-0. Ben Forty's made a good start against Az Lightfoot. He's 3-0 up. Lewis Calcutt 3-2 up on Matthew Schofield. John McAllister, one of the informed players, one of the fancy players coming to this weekend. He's 2-1 up on Gervie Gill. A couple of other ones there. We've got Jeremy Hooper 4-2 up on Richard Swaffield. Ryan Milson 1-all against Ryan Clark, and Liam White 2-1 against Ross Smith. It's interesting with Liam White. He played Darren Appleton in the second round of the winners section last night, and it was a fantastic. It was one of the last games to finish, so there was quite a few people watching the game. He was actually 10-9 up on Darren and snookered himself on the final black. And had half an opportunity as well in the decider, but Darren Appleton played a fantastic plant to get himself in the decider, and he managed to clear up. So Darren just scraped through. And now Darren's got Craig Marsh in the winners section at 4 o'clock, and that's an absolute blockbuster match that is, between two of our sport's sort of biggest names. Craig was telling me it's actually the first time I've ever met in a competitive match, which is it's not as unusual as maybe it sounds, because obviously we know Darren has predominantly played sort of 9-ball for the last decade or so, but you would have thought they might have met once or twice before. So to meet on such a big stage such as this, that should be a fantastic match. See if Viv Rusco, the referee for this match, just calling 10 seconds. On Declan, the players have 45 seconds to shot. Declan did utilise his extension, so the players are permitted to 1 extension per rack, or per frame, whichever you want to call it. As I say, the winners section doesn't start up again until 4 o'clock, so a little bit later on today there'll be a lot more people sort of in the club and the arena. It'll be a lot noisier, a little bit more sort of quieter this morning, but crowds will build up as the day goes along. James Cameron's asking where you can find the latest results and scores. If you head over to QScore, James, and search for Supreme Masters, you'll be able to see all the results from both the winners' side and losers' sections, and also the latest scores as well, because we've got like tablets wired up to each table, so the players input their scores after each game, so you're getting a real sort of live time idea of what the scores are in the tournament. So yeah, head over to qscore.com and you'll get all the information you need there. And it's also, if you have a look at the bottom of our screen, just underneath the score line, we've got like a rolling sort of strap going along there. There is a link, or there's the address of how to access the scores. So that's one way of trying to find how your sort of favourite players are getting on. So like I say, we have lost a few players this morning. That was the end of the road for them. So the losers of the first two sessions this morning. Wasn't going to go hit the cushion halfway down. Not too sure how much damage Brian has sort of left. I don't know if Declan can perhaps get to the potting angle. No, he can't. As you can clearly see there from my camera angle, he can't get to the potting angle on that. So he might be forced to, well, he is forced to do something with this red here. Is he going to try and double it, or maybe treble it, or... He's gone straight for the double. That's a fine shot, isn't it? It's a lovely shot. Now, obviously, the issue is where the red closest to the 8-ball spot is going to go. Is just wonder whether or not it sort of squeezes into the bottom right-hand pocket or not. Obviously it didn't, because he tried to use sort of loads of check side there to play the red in the same pockets. Unfortunately, just didn't quite get into it. In the end, he actually clipped the black. So he's going to need to come up with something pretty impressive here to get out of this. Yeah, so Lee Cash in the chat room is just asking about, I think the scenario that he watched earlier on the stream tables about a player potted the white off the break, and then the player coming to the table then planted a red onto a yellow, and then with the next shot potted a yellow and then went reds. In terms of sort of the rules of the game, I mean, if you foul off the break in blackball, the next visit, when the players come into the table, the next visit is a free hit, so you can do sort of anything with that effectively, as long as obviously you play like a legal shot, you hit a cushion, don't pop the black or anything like that, so you can do anything with that shot. That's effectively a free shot. It's what you do then afterwards. So say on that free visit you pot a red, you're not reds, the next visit you can go yellows, and it's whatever you pot in the next visit after the free hit that you are then that allocated suit for that frame. So yeah, so Lee Etheridge is you know, and Dan Slater there have said obviously that the first shot for the foul, it is a free hit, so it can be a little bit confusing because it's not until the third shot that somebody is actually a colour set, whereas in world rules, if you pot off the break, you nominate that rule set straight away. So that can sometimes be something players or fans need to sort of get to grips with initially. Anyway, whilst I've been sort of babbling on, Brian Halcrow's made the most of Declan's error previously, and he squared the match up at 1-1.
Frame number 3, Declan Brennan to break. 1 frame all. Time running.
Okay, so it's the Northern Irish QS coming to the table. 1 frame all. I'm not sure he necessarily hit them perfectly. It was didn't quite sound right, did it? I mean, they have opened, and that's the beauty of using the Supreme rack. I think you can have perhaps an over par sort of break, and the balls will still split because they are sort of so beautifully sort of arranged and touching together. A few people asking about Carl Boys, whether or not he's left the competition or not. I will try and find out for you. I know he lost last night on the stream to Mark Farnsworth, so as soon as I find out, I'll let you know. Yeah, so as a few people have sort of observed on the scoring system, that there's basically a forfeited sign next to Carl's name, so it looks as if he's sort of pulled out of the losers section, which obviously means that will be the end of his tournament. We'll try and find out to see why that was. Like I say, we saw him last night against Mark Farnsworth. It was a really good game actually, but he lost to Mark, so he was pushed onto the losers section. So we'll try and find out what happened there. But by the looks of it, he has played his last sort of action in the this year's Supreme Masters. Anyway, in the meantime, with Brian's at the table, I think the last shot he wanted to just stun it, and in the end he's actually sort of played more of like a stun run through, so he's not on the red that he wanted to be on, so he's probably second favourite now for this fight. Oh, that's a fine. That's a nice shot. I was just looking at that, and I was thinking potentially he could play off that, but you know, to look at that and see it, and then you know execute it, and you know the reds have come out nice as well. That's a fine shot from Brian. And he's got just get this red, get a nice angle, then to track down for the red on the bottom cushion, and yep, that's fine. Yep, so he's done well here with that one shot. He's got back into you know, perfect position. Yeah, that's fine. I mean, just want a little bit of an angle so you can just pop this out into a bit more of the centre part of the table. Yeah, he's fine. So he had a spot of bother, Brian, but this black to get back on track and take a 2-1 lead. Yep, so black safely deposited, and it's 2-1 to Brian Halcrow. Just having a quick look at the scores around the arena. We've, like I say, we've still got one more losers round 1 match to be completed. That's still 7-6 to Josh Corkett against Bash Maksud. Just having a look at some of the other players. Yannick Beaufils is 5-1 up on Zach Cooper. Darryl Whitworth is now in front of Oli Bale 4-3. Ben Forty's made a really good start against Daz Lightfoot. He's 5-0 up. Callum Singleton's 3-2 up on Toby Bolt. John McAllister's 4-2 up on Govey Gill. Mark Boyle, another one of the sort of stellar names in the losers section. He's made a good start against Martin Hazal. He's 5-2 up. You say it is a long road back, but I think from the start of the losers round to actually qualification was 6 matches. So all these players in the loser round 2 have already won 1 game, so they're now 5 victories away from qualifying for the knockout. So it's not as long a route as our previous events where only 8 made the knockout rounds. This is effectively like a double elimination qualifying portion of the event, which I quite like, actually. I think one of the reasons why the organisers moved it to 16 players is twofold. One is to try and get an earlier finish for the final on the Sunday, because the 2 previous finals have been quite late, really, and also as well it's more opportunity to players get to the knockout stage, where if you get to the last 16, everybody's on a good paycheck. So I think it works well personally for me. So just going back to somebody's question in the chat box about Carl Boys, we understand he was no-show, so we haven't heard the reason why he was a no-show. Hopefully, obviously everything's okay and there's no problem or anything. But yeah, he didn't arrive for his fixture earlier on, so will be the last we see of Carl in this event. But I think he'll be here for the September event, which is the K8.com Classic, which is at the end of September, which is event 4 of the series. Carl will have to come to the K8.com Classic, because in order to be eligible for the grand finals, so the Home Leisure Direct grand finals, you have to have played in 3 of the previous four tournaments. So I know Carl missed the Strachan Cup last month, so for him to be eligible in the draw, he'll have to turn up to our September event, because as we know, the grand finals, wow, it's £51,000 to the winner, which is the biggest amount ever awarded in English 8-ball tournament history. So we're really looking forward to that. The first weekend in December. As I say, players need to play 3 of the 4 events to be eligible for those grand finals, but they are also running the tournament organisers are running a ranking system, which will be like seedings for the grand final. So obviously the ranking is dependent on how well you do in each of the 4 previous events. Liam Dunster currently is number 1 in the rankings because of obviously reaching 2 finals. But it's very possible that he might relinquish that top spot because he's on the losers section this weekend. But we've seen players come through the losers section before, so Liam's got a chance, as has other players on the losers side, such as Mark Boyle and Phil Harrison and Ben Davies. He's the reigning IPA world champion. But it's hit the cushion first, and it's gone in wide. Didn't want that. Not ideal. Well, he's completely snookered himself there. I mean, if he just managed to get past it, he would have been on the red in some capacity, but now he's in real bother. Not really sure what he can do now. I think he might even be forced into playing some sort of a swerve. Well, you see there, he's trying to utilise a cushion. And now he's sort of looking at the swerve, so he's sort of in 2 minds here. Wow, it was a good connection. It wasn't a million miles away from cutting in, but unfortunately for Declan, he's opened everything up for Brian. He's kind of pushed pretty much everything into the open part of the table, so he'd accept Brian here to step up and extend his advantage. So Brian just taking a little bit of time on that shot. I think he was the reason wasn't necessarily the shot he played. It was him just sort of working out his map to the frame here. Might have to be a little bit careful with the yellow on the right side cushion, but as long as he gets fairly close to it, that shouldn't pose a problem. It would of course be a little bit less pressure applied if Declan's red had sort of run onto a cushion or run into a unfavourable position, but the red is sort of kind of in the open there, so he's got to make sure that he doesn't miss, because he would pass up some sort of a opportunity to Declan. Yeah, so he's just obviously his main concern is this this yellow on the right side cushion. And I like this. He's been sort of very patient. He's not rushing into committing himself to something. He's trying to find the most sort of risk-free way of going about things. Okay, so he is right sort of behind the yellow, so the pot shouldn't be a problem. He's just got to perhaps be a little bit thoughtful about where he's going to leave the white next. I think he'll just possibly bring it back a little bit to leave an angle. He might even have to sort of... He's tried to get the other side of the yellow, but that's not worked, so I was wondering if he was just going to drop sort of the yellow in and maybe come back an inch or so and then cut the yellow into the middle pocket and come up and down. So what was a fairly sort of expected clearance. Now there's possibility that it could go wrong. Is he going to clear the red? Just. Wow. That's the skin of his teeth there, but as you could see, that's it could have gone horribly wrong there for Brian, but it's worked out well. Depends how close he wants to get to the black here, but I'm not sure he'll want to take any risks. I think he would probably just. Okay, well, he's used a couple of cushions there. I mean, there was several ways of playing that. He could have screwed back. He could have just dropped it in and play it like he's played it. So, wow. There we go. That's one of the reasons why we watch this game, isn't it? Because you can't take the eye off the ball at all. And wow. Obviously, you know, Brian's potting that black 99 times at 100, but it was kind of building up a little bit, wasn't it, from what was a fairly sort of routine finish. A couple of things happened, and perhaps the pressure was building. So Declan himself has got a not the easiest of blacks, but you'd expect him to pot it. Yeah, so Declan doesn't make the mistake that Brian made, and well, that's a bit of a steal for Mr. Brennan there. He levels up at 2-all, and Brian's got to be pretty gutted after not capitalising on the mistake that Declan initially made. So a couple of errors in that frame, but we expect to see that in longer races. There's a lot of pressure, there's a lot of money to be dished up this weekend. There's nearly £30,000 that's going to be awarded, from which £13,000 will go to the winner on Sunday evening, which is by far the biggest prize given out in the English 8-ball world this year so far. And obviously I say so far because in December we're going to be dishing out £51,000 to the winner of the grand final. So a lot of money to play for. So there we are. We can see the screen there's some of the score lines around the arena. We'll sort of just have a look at a few things. Mark Fleming there's 3-2 up on Harjeet Singh, but that's an entertaining match to watch. Yannick Beaufils is he's 6-2 up on Zach Cooper. Darryl Whitworth has turned things around against Oli Bear. He's now 6-4 up. Ben 40 6-2 up as well on Daz Lightfoot. Mark Boyle there's on the hill against Martin Hazal. So Mark Boyle is one more frame. He's already got past 2 rounds of the losers section. So he's on his way back. And Jeremy Hooper, Richard Swaffield 5-all, and Josh Corkett and Bash Maksuda still 7-6. So I'm not sure what's going on that table, but they've been locked up at 7-6 for a very long time. So anyway, back to our feature table, and Declan has a good break, and he's got to be feeling good about himself after not being punished for his mistake in the last frame. A few people sort of asking about what the difference is between sort of like black ball rules and world rules. If you wanted to go over to the Players Pool Events website, I think both rule sets are published on the website, so you can read through it, and by all means watch the action with us this weekend, because there's going to be scenarios which are different depending on obviously the rule set. So. We've seen when, in regards to the top players, it doesn't really matter what the rules are. So, you know, we've seen in the first couple of events, we've seen Liam Dunster, who's an out black ball player. He's reached 2 World Rules finals last year in the Supreme Masters. All right, it was played under a slightly different structure, but we saw Rob Warren. It's the first time he's played black ball. He ended up winning it. So I think that naturally, you know, the top players, it's not going to make it. It's not going to phase them playing either rule set. Obviously, as you go sort of further down the tiers, you know, more to like the amateur players, the rules will make a bigger difference. I think that's okay. I think I was assuming a little bit that he might have just tried to get straight on this red, or a little bit straighter. But they all go. He's just, because they're so close together, he's just got to be a little bit sort of careful here, a little bit cute with how he goes about things. He might not be able to avoid the cannon now. I'm not totally sure. No, he's played that well. Nice shot, just a little nudge out the way, and it's going to be 3-2 to Declan. So from almost certainly looking like going 3-1 down, he's actually going to take a 3-2 lead in a very short space of time. So there we go. So Declan Brennan takes a 3-2 advantage.
Frame number 6, Brian Halcrow to break, trailing 3 frames to 2.
We've got Steve Allman in the chat box there saying, "Come on, Jez Graham, father to be." Yeah, he certainly is, and just had a fine win earlier today against Matt Brearley. Jez actually played really well. I was watching a bit of his match. They actually had Matt as the favourite to win that with our on-site bookmaker, but the way Jez has been playing sort of over the last couple of months, you know, I did fancy him for that match. MT in the our YouTube chat box makes a good point. He feels that the some of the world rule players haven't been using their free hits or, you know, free visits very well. That's a good point. I think that's perhaps the main issue that you know, predominantly world rules players might perhaps not struggle with necessarily, but might not fully utilise a free visit. It is kind of a different mentality because in world rules, of course, you have 2 shots carry, so quite a lot of the time players won't even need to use a second shot, that they'll clear up anyway, whereas black ball, you're only sort of reward if someone's fouled is the free visit first of all, so you either have to sort of open something up, or you can put one of your opponent's balls safe, or put one of your opponent's balls. So I think that's a good point MT makes. Yeah, and James and Lee in the chat box talking about the Supreme rack. Yeah, you both make really good points. Yeah, the rack does take a little bit longer to set up, and sometimes it takes a little bit longer to remove as well. But when you sort of counter that with the good breaks that we're getting and the good splits and the more open frames, there's certainly more advantages than disadvantages. That's my opinion. The series has made a commitment to use them as well. So, the organisers obviously see that as the way forward. So, I think all the players are. It's about getting used to things, and then we're quite, snooker players, pool players, people who play cue sports are quite sometimes a bit reluctant to use new equipment, things like that. But so hopefully, people will warm to it. Yes, that's a nice shot from Brian. He's still got a fair bit of work to do to win the frame, but he's given himself a chance. I mean, it's pretty much as well as could put that. Unless he was just thinking, actually, maybe the middle red of the reds, maybe that goes into the middle pocket. If he was on that sort of straight, it would have opened it all up. So perhaps that's not where he wanted to put the white. So he's got no choice but to sort of play an aggressive cannon. How's it going to end up? Oh, wow. Hopefully we can get some sort of a camera angle on that to have a look. I don't think it has settled onto the yellow. I think he might be able to get through to the potting angle of the red on the cushion. Yeah, so he's not married up to the yellow, and he can get to the potting angle of the red on the cushion, but A, it's a tricky cut, and B, he's the cue ball sort of running all over the place. So
10 seconds. Extension 4.
okay, so obviously he went for the double there, and it's not a bad shot, is it really? I mean, if he potted it, he was leaving himself a shot on the red. As it is, he has covered the bag, and he's put the cue ball in a nice position as well. So it's an example of his experience there. See, I remember sort of Brian from when I was sort of growing up watching pool on the telly, things like that. I remember seeing Brian a few times. So I think he initially possibly come from a world rules background, but I think where he comes from in the northeast, he predominantly plays sort of black ball events now. So it was just a disturbance in the crowd. It was a mobile phone going off. I think that's the first one of the weekend, so not a bad strike right, I guess. It's not as bad as the snooker in China, where they seem to be going off every 5 minutes. Oh, has he potted the... Oh, nearly... That was nearly a dream scenario. Because if he potted the red, I think he could have hit enough the other red. Yeah, I think he might have been able to just get to enough angle. So in the end, it's not too bad. he's, you know, he's cued that really well. Didn't even touch the sides. Fantastic shot. Talal in the chat box is just asking about the tip size. It can really vary, Talal, for certain players. Some come from like a snooker background, so they might use, you know, a 10 mil, sometimes even close to 11 mil tip. I think the preferred method for most players, English 8 balls, you play with a narrower tip than that, though, because obviously the equipment's a lot smaller. But it will vary between players. I have even seen sort of a few players play with like an American 9 ball cue, but I'm not really. Well, I guess it's what people feel comfortable with, but. Yeah, that's a good hit from Brian. In fact, that's a very good shot from Brian. I mean, Declan might be forced into playing one of the yellows on the bolt cushion and trying to bring it down table and cover the bottom left-hand pocket. That might be a possibility. Yeah, James is about 8 millimeters. That's yeah, that I would say that's a popular choice with a lot of players. He might have left Brian a little sniff here, but he might have left him a little pot shot at this red. He can hit it, so he might as well have a go at this. I mean, yeah, he's looking at putting it into the yellow pocket. I mean, second prize would be sort of covering the bag, so it could be a positive outcome here for Brian. Well, that's wide, but is it going to stick? That's possibly the worst outcome for Brian. That's not accessible now where it's gone. Yes, James in the chat box is saying that Phil Harrison uses a 9 mil cue. A few other sort of questions in the chat box whilst you've got a few minutes. Someone asking about sort of the best place to buy cues and tips. Home Leisure Director is one of our tournament sponsors. They sponsor the grand finals. They've got a nice selection of cues. If you want to go over to their website, that's nearly worked out perfectly. But unfortunately for Brian, he's not on the red. Yeah, so maybe go over to Home Leisure Direct. They've got a good range of very good range of equipment for all cue sports. So, you know, if you're interested in snooker or Chinese 8 ball or anything like that, they're the really good people to see. Got someone else asking about is world rules same as the old rules where 2 shots carry. I'm not 100% sure about the old rules that you're talking about, but in world rules 2 shots do carry. Oh, that's a nice. How's it not gone in? Wow. That's Brian's having a little chuckle to himself there. He's hit that really. Wow, really. I don't know how the red's not gone in, but. So what's Declan's plan going to be here? Is he thinking about trying to extract a foul from Brian, or does he think he can get to some sort of a skill shot, or? I'm assuming that he is going to tuck up here, yeah. He's trying to get the two, he's trying to make this as difficult as he can. I think that's a clever shot. I think he's blocked off the one cushion escape with the yellow. I mean, I think that Brian played the other side of that and with a, you know, and make the angle with some side. So still a chance for Brian here to make this red. Obviously, if he does hit it this time, you know, it is going to be going in. So here goes. Yeah, that's a fine shot. And it just hangs up, but again, he's a little bit unlucky because he's hit that pretty much flush, and if he was to hit that sort of thin, which is what he ideally wanted to do, the white would have at least come away from the jaws of the pocket. So this is a very tricky black. On a pool table, they don't really come much tougher than this. It's a cut back. I mean, it's awkward cueing. It's kind of into a blind pocket. So very difficult shot. And as you can see there, there was a lot of things. I mean, the cueing was awkward because he was sort of cueing actually on the rim of the pocket, and it was a thin cut anyway. So I'd say Brian's been a little bit unlucky with a few of his shots in this frame. He's perhaps deserved a little bit better. And even though sort of Declan's got a free hit, he doesn't need to do anything flashy with a free hit. He'll just play as if he's got one visit, put the cube where he wanted in bulk, and unless something extraordinary happens, it's going to be 4-2 to Declan. Yeah, just pinged it out with a couple of cushions, and he's halfway there. It's 4-2 to Declan Brennan. Okay, we're just showing you a few of the current scores around the arena there. I'll just sort of recap, and well, Seb Webb has completed quite a turnaround. He's now 7-6 in front of Rich Wharton, so that's a bit of a switch there. He's one away from the next round. Yannick Beaufils is on the hill against Zach Cooper. Christy Caulfield is about to eliminate Gavin Robinson. He's 7-3 up. Pen 40, 7-4 up on Daz Lightfoot. John McAllister is just shading it against the Gervie Gill. He's 6-5 up. And Callum Singleton's got a 2-frame profit on Toby Bolt, 6-4. Liam White's trying to make amends for his disappointment last night against Darren Appleton. He's 7-2 up on Ross Smith. And Ryan Milson 6-2 up on Ryan Clark. Ryan's a player I really like watching. Actually, he's got a very sort of pronounced cue action. I know he's a former main tour snooker player, actually, Ryan Clark. But he's struggling today, 6-6-2 down. Nice break from Declan, but unfortunately he's not found anything. Yes, just catching up with a few of the comments in the chat boxes. We got Wilson Scraddock says about Halcrow played 3 great shots in a row and he got unlucky with all of them. And yeah, I do agree, Wilson. He played a couple of shots and it wasn't really, perhaps, you know, he deserved a bit better. Although, you know, like Shane says, you know, he did miss the ball completely. I mean, yeah, perhaps, you know, it wasn't that thin, but maybe the element of you know, tricky-ish cueing come into the equation there. MT says about Webb. I presume he's on about sort of Seb Webb coming back. And actually, his scoreline has gone off my screen, so I would assume that he might have won that match. So we'll check that in a minute. But I think Seb might have won 8-6 against Rich Wharton. James talking about players wearing sort of caps and using mobile phones in the tournament. Thankfully, I'm not like one of the tournament officials or organisers, so I don't need to make a decision on that. But I think I know when you talk about sort of wearing cap, which player you're on about. But I don't think players shouldn't be really on, you know, mobile phones during a match. You know, I don't think that's very sort of Queensberry. Yeah, I'm not quite sure what the punishment for that is. I don't know if you just get a warning and then if you do it again, I'm not sure what would happen after that, if that's like you know, fouled or loss of frame or, you know, even like a loss of match or something. I think he was trying to cushion first and pop that off the yellow to open it all up. Unfortunately, he completely missed the yellow. Yeah, so MT just saying about Seb Webb was on his mobile phone yesterday when he was in the arena, and he was warned by Kendall and the referee that if he was caught on it again, he would lose the frame. So I guess that answers our question. Keep your mobile phone away when you're playing. I know a tournament organiser down in Plymouth called Paul Bolston, very, very, you know, a top player, you know, very well respected. He has a ruling in his events that if he catches anybody on a mobile phone, it's a foul to their opponent. Johnny just asking again, well, not himself personally asking again, but just asking, well, Carl Boys has got FF next to his name, so the FF stands for forfeit. So we understand that he didn't turn up for his we understand he didn't turn up for his match earlier on. We're not sure the reason why. As I say, hopefully there's nothing wrong. But it will be the last time we see Carl in this weekend's event. Oh, that's gone horribly wrong. I'm just wondering, I think he was on 2 on the stop clock, so I think he was under a little bit of pressure to hit that. And in the end, he was sort of stretching in the end. I think he might have even put the wrong side on because he was trying to hit the reds. Certainly didn't get the right side that he wanted on. He's ended up hitting the black, so another good chance here for Declan. Yeah, so James just saying about if there's betting, how can phones be allowed? So yeah, no, I agree with you. I know working with sort of the snooker circuits quite a bit, I know that the mobile phones are sort of confiscated when players in the arena. So I think like an official, before they sort of enter an arena or a player's room or the playing arena, their phones are sort of confiscated, as it were. I'm not sure that will go down well with some of the players here, but I think that's what they do for the professional setup in snooker. I think that was relating to, if there was any sort of, funny business in regards to sort of betting and things like that. So. Yeah, so Declan's just looking to clear the yellows in the bulk area and then come down and finish things off in the bottom half of the table. Yeah, just a little bit of side there to keep it keep his work close. He's got a lovely angle now. Just concentrate on the pot. He wouldn't actually sort of track down the table. Just wondering the yellow that's nearly sitting on the black. I just wonder whether or not what pockets that goes into. It would certainly go into the bottom right hand pocket. I'm not sure if it goes in the middle pocket. I'm not sure if we can. I'm looking at another angle. I don't think we can see if it goes into the middle. That's fine, yeah. So we knew it went in the bottom right-hand pocket anyway. The only concern he might have is if he's just wrong side of straight. Is he? No, yeah, I was going to say that's the only concern is he was going to go into the black, and it was kind of then making it turn a corner a little bit. But safely deposited and a little tester on the black, but I can't really see Declan missing this, to be fair. So this black to go 5-2 up. Yeah, nice shot, slammed it back. You can see in the background there a few of the Northern Irish lads watching Declan. So Ronan McCarthy and Gary Clark, they're watching their fellow countrymen. I think obviously that's natural. You get a lot of the, you get a lot of the Welsh boys sort of sticking together, a lot of the Irish boys sticking together. Players from abroad, they're naturally going to stick together anyway. Johnny just asking about, do you think Morris Robinson game should have been put back? I know it was a bit of a grind fest, wasn't it, by the sounds of it. Thankfully, I was able to leave the arena to go back to the hotel, but when I left, I still think it was something like 5-3 or 4-3. So I'm not even sure it was like halfway through when I left. I think in terms of sort of like scheduling and things like that, I mean, you can have the best schedule in the world, but sometimes things happen and things like snowball and roll up. So sometimes you just naturally can't do anything about that. But I don't think putting it back till today was an option, because especially with so many players still in the double elimination format, it's quite a precise sort of formula, especially in the early doors. I mean, later on in the event, well, we have more tables and things like that. But no, Lee Grout, who is one of the tournament organisers, he works really really hard on the schedule and getting the formulas right and the timings, and if something's wrong, or if think things could be better, he'll sort of change it, ask the players, see how they feel about things. It's like this event, they've changed it to 16 players going through to the knockout phase, in order to try and get an earlier finish on the Sunday, which I think everybody sort of appreciates, and also is better for like the viewing figures.
10 seconds.
So the series is always trying to better itself, and also asking the players about their opinions, how they feel on things, so it's not forced upon them. So Declan's back in here. He's it's not easy though. This finish, there's quite a bit of work to do. You play this with a bit of top right, as you see there. Just ping it up. That was a surprising miss from Declan, certainly. Phil in the chat box is asking an interesting question about, does the triangle work for softer breakers? I don't necessarily know about softer breakers, but I was talking to Craig Marsh in the previous game. He feels it certainly is a leveler for people who don't break as well. So, you can not perhaps get the best of connections on a break, but the balls will still open up. So I think it's a good question you ask, that the players who perhaps struggle with hitting the break well, this certainly is a bit of a leveler for them against the players, perhaps, like your Craig Marshes, your Ben Davies, Mick Hills, those who really sort of crunch the break well and hit them well. And of course, it's not always about hitting the balls hard. It's about timing and hitting the balls correctly. So it's not just a bash, but it's a good point. And obviously, MT as well says about why would you want to break off soft? So the balls. It was interesting. Craig Marsh actually said he took a little bit of pace off his breaks earlier because they open up so well. I guess that could be a control thing. So maybe you can control the cue ball a little bit better, knowing that you don't need to hit them as hard. 10 seconds. Yep, no problem, Phil. Thanks for taking time to chat to us. Hope you're enjoying the stream. Yeah, MT talking about sort of Farnsworth there, and I didn't want to name names, but Craig Marsh did during the commentary last. But we were saying that there are a couple of sort of top players who perhaps don't break as well as they could do. Okay, so Brian's got a chance here to stop the rot. Yeah, nice finish there from Brian, and he needed to stop the rot then. I mean, 6-2 down might have been a bit too much to climb, but he's back in the game. See, we've started a bit of a conversation in the YouTube chat box about sort of the break and how this Supreme rack is changing things for the players who might not necessarily have had a particularly strong break. Just quickly recap. It's been a little while since we've gone through some of the scores. So Lewis Calcutt and Matthew Schofield are level at 5 all. Gervie Gill and John McAllister are level at 6 all. So could be a bit of an upset there if Gervie wins against John, who was one of the fancied players. Harjeet is now 5-4 up on Scotland's Mark Fleming. And Ryan Wilson is 6-2 up against Ryan Clark. A few of the next session matches are going to be going on soon as well. I think they're going to start them early. That includes Ben Davies and Simon Fitzsimmons, who had a great sort of comeback earlier. I think he was 7-4 down, come back to an 8-7. Liam Dunster, he's the series #1 as it stands. He's back in action in a minute against Ben Rowland. So that'll be an interesting game between two young players. Sean Story against Eddie Barker. Ooh, I thought the red was going to drop there. I think he wanted to be a little bit straighter on this red, so he could have opened up the red and yellow on the bulk line there. You see that red doesn't go anywhere, so he was trying to get a super angle on this red, so he could have crashed into them. Just Brian just using his extension in the frame, just needs a little bit of time to think about this. Okay, so he's changed his thought process. I think what the plan was is he was trying to push the yellow out of the way. That was deliberate, him potting the red off the yellow, but he wanted to hit the yellow a little bit thicker, so he could push that out of the way, so that the red next to the yellow could have gone in the middle. So now I think he's kind of forced himself to play a double, which he was, well, to be fair, he was nowhere near really. And he's given up the table to Declan, and great chance for Declan now. just, I think Declan probably realises that this is the shot to play first off. This is one sort of really tricky ball. Well, not really tricky, but yeah, hit the cushion, but just accepted it. I'd fully expect Declan to win the frame from here. Yep, nice shot. Just got to be a little bit careful with the yellow in the sort of bottom left-hand part of the table, because there are sort of a few balls around it, so just want to make sure that he doesn't sort of like cover up or anything like that. That looks pretty goody. Yeah, you can see you just bring the cue ball back in the line, and you can't get close to the yellow, but he doesn't need to. Yep, that looks good to me. Just wondering if he's, can't necessarily see from that angle, but just wondering if he's got options if he sort of come around the red or if he'll just play it inside of it. Yeah, so played around it, that's fine. So yeah, so he's navigated these balls well, and this black to put himself 6-3 up. And it's there. So young Declan of Northern Ireland is 6-3 up on Brian Halcrow.
Frame number 10, Brian Halcrow to break, trailing 6 frames to 3. Time running.
Okay, so we're back, and you know, Brian really would have loved to have found a ball off the break there, because he really needs this frame to go 7-3 behind. He would need to win 5 on the spin, which would be very tricky. Unfortunately for him, he's come up dry. So we see Viv there, just marking the ball so she can remove the rack. Yeah, just a few people sort of started a bit of a debate in the YouTube chat about sort of racks and equipment and referee gloves and things like that. The reason why the referees are wearing those particular gloves is because it does make it easier to remove the the rack, and also as well sort of the marking of the balls too. MT was just asking whether or not Seb Webb won, and yeah, he did. He won 8-6 against Rich Wharton. I think he was trailing in that game, so it was a comeback for Seb. So Mr. Webb is still got his hopes alive this weekend's event. Hello to Nick. Hope you're doing well, Nick. Glad you're able to sort of still be part of the event this weekend, watching and commenting. Have you seen the background there? The TRN1. The real number one. I'm not sure. I thought he might have been playing this session, but I'll have to find out. I certainly know he's due to be playing soon because he lost to Tom Cousins in the sort of the second round. So. I think just looking at Q score, George Tierney is due to be playing on one of our stream tables shortly. Table 11. Oh, has he gone too far? Oh, it's just held up. So he might have held his breath a little bit there, Declan, but he's fine, and this to go on the hill. Okay, so what's happening elsewhere? We've got some of the 2:15 matches have actually started early. One of those includes Ben Davies, the current IPA World Champion. He's lost the first frame to Neil Wren. Jimmy Graham's gone 1-0 up against Malta's Ryan Pisani. Sean Story's won the opener against Eddie Barker. And Zach Shepherd's done the same against Ben Mackey. Lewis Calcutt and Matthew Schofield are locked at 6-all. And John McAllister has retaken the lead against Govey Gill. He's 7-6 up, so he's on the hill. Harjeet Singh is now 6-4 up on Mark Fleming. And Ryan Milson is on the hill against Ryan Clark. He's 7-3 up. So what we are sort of seeing is players being sort of eliminated now. You know, all the losers from this, the losers matches we're seeing, that will be their tournament over. As I say, we've got a 2:15 session officially. That's another portion of the losers section to come up. But at 4 o'clock, it's the winners section kicks back in again. But the losers will play at the same time as well. But primarily, the winners section will take preference on the mainstream table. MT asking about what the odds for the real number one are. Well, surely he's still odds on, of course. You know, I heard that he he just wanted a bit of table time, so that's the reason why he's gone on to loser's side. He'll soon activate destroy mode, I'm sure. We've got, I think it's, sorry if I've mispronounced your name, but Charlie in the chat box. He said bonjour, so if you are watching from France, we really appreciate that. Hope you're enjoying the stream and the coverage this weekend. I assume you've been keeping a bit of a close eye on Yannick. Yannick, I think, is still in the event. Yannick Beaufils. So yes, sort of jockeying for position in this frame, really. Declan's obviously on there, he's just one away. It's a big ask for Brian to come back now. You know, and as I say, if Brian does lose, it is the end of the road for him. Just while we're having, you know, just a bit of downtime in this frame, just have a quick look at the scores. Matthew Schofield's now gone 7-6 up on Lewis Calcutt, so he's one away from advancing to the next round. Got Dan Davey v Scott Gillespie. That's a pretty big matchup in the losers round 2. Scott Gillespie obviously won our first event of the year at the beginning of May in the Jason Owen Open. He then didn't have a great event at the Strachan Cup. I think he lost both his opening 2 matches, so he was eliminated as early as he could be. But yesterday he had a fantastic win against fellow Scot Mark Boyle on the stream table. It was the first streamed game of the tournament, but then he's been pushed back onto the losers side, so a bit of a roller coaster for Mr. Gillespie in this series so far. Neil Wren's actually taken the second frame against Ben Davies, so he's 2-0 up. So a little bit of early work to do for the IPA World Champion. In fact, just talking about Scott Gillespie, he's taken the first frame against Dan Davies, so he's 1-0 up. That's a nice shot, Declan. So, in the blink of an eye, he's got the chance to win the match here. Everything looks as if it goes. This looks fairly elementary for from Declan here. The red he's going to pop in a second to the bottom right hand pocket. I think that's where the black's going to go. I think it's just away enough from the two yellows that are next to each other to the left of it. I think he's got easy access into it, so that shouldn't be any problems. Yeah, so he's going to play this red here to the top bag, and this is the just got to make sure he doesn't cue across it or anything like that. And yeah, safely down. Not sure if he can play it where it's, you know, wow. He's just the wrong side of straight here. He would have liked to have, you know, been bang on straight so he could just draw it back across the line, but he's actually going away, and that might cause him issue. Will he use the yellow just as a little bumper, perhaps? Yeah, he did in the end. I think that was just to try and straighten the angle up. So he is a little bit hampered, but Declan Brennan has got this black for an 8-3 victory over Brian Halcrow. Yep, safely down, and impressive in the end there from Declan. He's won with a fair bit of spare change. So Declan's through to the next round after an 8-3 win. I think we're going to be having a quick interview with Declan in our interview room, so if you want to hold on for a few minutes, they're going to have an interview with the winner there. The next stream actually is going to be pretty quick. I think it's going to be at 2:15, so we might have sort of like a 10-minute sort of turnaround before they come on. And what a match it is! It is a losers round match, although it sounds like it shouldn't be. But it's going to be Phil Harrison versus Rona McCarthy, which is an absolute humdinger of a match, especially for the losers section. Especially when you consider the loser of that match will be out, and that'll be the last section they play this weekend. So come back in, you know, approximately around sort of 10 minutes when we'll bring that action to you. Like I say, I think we might be having an interview as well with Declan, so if you want to hold on for that too, we'd really appreciate that. So thanks for tuning in, and be back with us very shortly.
Congratulations, Declan. Got through a tough match there against Brian. 8-3 though, so it was a convincing win.
Yeah, played well. Been playing well all week. I lost Cousins 11-10, so didn't do much wrong in that game. So I knew I was playing well.
I mean, that is probably the talking point. One of the things we wanted to speak to you about. It was a match where you could have quite easily got through that match, and in the winner's side, you one shot away really, weren't you, to get through?
Yeah, but I've got plenty of positives to take out of it. That was the only ball I missed that whole game. So it's not too many games you play that well and lose. So can't really be too harsh on yourself.
You are playing one of the elite players there, so you know, if you're pushing the elite, you know that your game is coming in the right way.
Yeah, massively improved. Just been playing well the past 2-3 weeks, and I've carried it on right through. So.
And you won a winning match recently as well, so you got some money in the bank.
Yeah, I got a few quid off that. Yeah, but just really enjoying my pool at the minute. Showing on the table with my results.
Yeah, and Mike, you was commentating again.
Yeah, I think the key frame. I think it was 2-1, and I think
the black.
he had complete free reign of the table, and I think that was a massive frame because he would have gone 3-1 up.
Of course.
You punished him for that. You very quickly then cleared up the next frame to go 3-2 up, and I think that was a real sort of gut punch to him. Then I don't think he sort of really recovered. Then I think you were really sort of solid. You took out a really good few clearances from them.
To be fair, I made a couple of mistakes in the match, and I was a wee bit lucky just to tie the odd ball up here and there, which obviously helps. You know, you need them wee bits of luck though when you're playing good players like Brian.
There was a couple of blacks that weren't easy blacks as well. You hit, centre of the bag each time, so you must be real confidence. And
of course.
Obviously, a lot of people. You played really well against Tom, so you've got to take a lot of positives the way you did. And like you say, you're not far off at all. So
no, I'm not far off. I'm just looking forward now to see. I don't even know who you're playing next round, so I'll just concentrate on that one and see how it goes.
Yeah, I think you've probably got 3 or 4 matches to get through to the last 16. So a long way back, but you're still in.
I'm still in. I'm playing well, so I just look forward to battling away.
And you get to the last 16, single elimination, and you're on the same footing as everybody else.
Yeah, just see how it goes. Give it a time.
Well, best of luck. It's the end of that session, and we'll be back again in 15 minutes. Thanks very much.